The first snowstorm of December had swept across downtown Chicago like a white, unforgiving curtain, swallowing the city in icy wind and swirling flakes that stung the skin like glass. That night, as the streets glowed under rows of cold streetlights and the sound of traffic softened beneath the blanket of snow, a little girl named Harper clung to her father's gloved hand. They had just left a late holiday event, bundled warm in thick coats, their breaths forming little clouds in the air. But then Harper suddenly stopped walking. She didn't blink. She didn't move. Her tiny hand tugged hard at her father's sleeve, forcing him to turn. And there, slumped against the concrete wall of an office building, was a young woman in torn clothing, arms wrapped tight around her trembling body, her face red from cold and tears. Harper pointed at her with a soft but urgent voice that cut straight through the winter night. "Please help her, Daddy. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives in ways we may never understand, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts." The woman sitting in the snow was Mara Jensen, though nobody passing by that night knew her name. Her clothes were ripped from months of hardship, her hair tangled from sleeping outside, and her eyes swollen from crying. Once, she had been a college student with a future in nursing, but life had taken a cruel turn, her mother's illness, medical bills, losing their home, falling into the cracks of a system too overwhelmed to catch her. She had been on the streets for 6 months now, trying to survive days that blurred together, each one colder and heavier than the last. But this night felt different. This night felt like the world had finally given up on her. She wasn't sure she'd make it to morning. Harper's father, Jonathan Miller, was a successful architect, a man who believed in logic and structure, not impulse. His life was measured, organized, predictable. But when he saw the way his daughter looked at the young woman like she was seeing a human being silently begging for mercy, something inside him softened. He couldn't ignore the raw fear in Mara's eyes, or the way her fingers were turning purple from the cold. He hesitated only for a moment before shrugging off his thick coat and placing it around her shoulders, the warmth of it startling her like a sudden burst of life. Mara looked up at him, confusion trembling on her lips, as if she wasn't sure whether she should speak or stay invisible like she had been for so long. Jonathan helped her stand, her knees shaking under her weight, and guided her toward his car, while Harper clutched her father's arm, watching Mara with concern deeper than most adults could muster. They took her to a 24-hour clinic, where nurses rushed her into a warm room, checking her for frostbite, dehydration, and pneumonia. Jonathan stayed in the waiting room with Harper asleep on his lap, the hum of hospital lights and murmuring voices echoing in the background. When the doctor finally emerged and explained that Mara would recover but needed warmth, food, and stability, Jonathan felt a strange responsibility settle in his chest, an unfamiliar but undeniable pull toward compassion. For weeks after that night, Jonathan visited Mara at the small shelter the clinic had arranged for her. He brought food, warm clothing, and anything else she might need to rebuild her life. Harper insisted on joining him every time, always bringing handmade drawings with bright colors, little suns, hearts, and smiling stick figure families. Mara would tape them beside her bed, each one a reminder that someone out there still believed she mattered. Slowly, walls she had built around herself began to crumble. She talked more, ate more, and slept without the constant fear of freezing to death. Harper's presence seemed to bring her back to life in ways medicine couldn't. But, despite the kindness, Mara struggled with guilt. She felt undeserving, a burden, an intrusion into a world she didn't belong in. One icy morning, before dawn, she left a simple handwritten note beside her bed. "Thank you for everything. I won't forget what you did, but I need to fix my life on my own." And with that, she disappeared into the city again, leaving Jonathan and Harper heartbroken but hoping she had gone to chase a better future. Years passed. Harper grew from a curious little girl into a bright young teenager with a heart for volunteering. Jonathan, though busy with work, still thought of Mara every winter when the first snow fell. He wondered where she was, if she had survived, if she had found what she was searching for. Mara had become a quiet echo in their lives, a memory wrapped in frost and warmth at the same time. Yet somewhere in the vastness of the country, Mara was fighting for a new beginning. She worked nights in diners, studied during the day, and saved every dollar she could. It took years of resilience, countless setbacks, moments of despair, and nights when she wanted to give up. But every time she thought she couldn't keep going, she remembered Harper's little voice, trembling with compassion. "Please help her, Daddy." That moment had pulled her from the edge of hopelessness, and she refused to let it fade. Eventually, Mara earned her nursing certificate, then her license, then landed a stable job at a community hospital. She finally found a modest apartment and a life she could call her own. But one thing lingered: the Millers had changed her life, and she had never truly thanked them. One snowy evening, almost identical to the night they had first met, Jonathan and Harper were walking out of a grocery store when they noticed a young woman standing near their car. She was bundled in a clean winter coat, her hair neatly tied back, her posture steady and confident. Jonathan didn't recognize her at first, but when she stepped forward and her eyes shimmered with emotion, he felt a strange familiarity. Harper froze, staring at her, and then whispered, "Is that?" Mara smiled gently, nodding. She looked transformed, stronger, healthier, radiant in a quiet, humble way. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small sealed envelope. Her hands shook, not from cold, but from the weight of everything she had carried over the years. She held it out to Jonathan, who took it with careful hands. The envelope read, "For the kindness that saved my life." Inside was a heartfelt letter, written over many nights, rewritten countless times. In it, Mara spoke of how she had been broken, how their kindness had become the spark that reignited her will to live. She explained her journey, every difficult step, every small victory, and how Harper's compassion had become her guiding light. She thanked them for seeing her as a human being when the world saw only a burden. And at the end of the letter, she wrote something that made Jonathan's eyes blur with tears. "You didn't just help me survive. You helped me become someone I'm proud to be." As Jonathan finished reading, he looked up to find Mara wiping tears from her cheeks while Harper stood beside her, holding her hand tightly like she had done years before. The snow fell quietly around them, softening the world into a moment that felt suspended in time. Mara wasn't asking for anything, not money, not help. She simply wanted them to know that their kindness had created a ripple that reached far beyond that cold night on the street. Harper leaned in and hugged her, the same warm-hearted girl she had always been, only older now. Jonathan placed a hand on Mara's shoulder, feeling a mix of pride and gratitude. It wasn't often that life gave you the chance to see the full circle of your own compassion. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. Your engagement helps us bring powerful, life-changing stories to more people. Before we end, please comment, kindness can change everything if you believe even a small act of compassion can impact a life forever. And so, on a snowy evening in Chicago, 3 lives intertwined once again, not through tragedy, but through healing, gratitude, and the quiet reminder that sometimes the smallest voice can lead us to the greatest miracles.